Hey, welcome to my video. Long time, I know. Heavy energies as well as beautiful, brilliant, connected energies. The the disparity is huge. The contrast is vast. So here I am anyway, but as apart from putting up shorts of things, I've had to stay away from social media. A lot of the readings that I gave out, that the people who were with me at the time on this platform will know I could feel what they were trying to do and build in a realm within a realm. The process of uploading consciousness with consent. And if you're not really aware of it, I can see it happening in droves. And it really is a separation of realities. And so navigating through that's intense, and it should be intense. If it's not feeling intense, even though it's feeling really good because you're connecting with like minds, like spirits, and you're really building those bonds among a few, if it doesn't feel intense, I don't know what you're feeling really in that intensity for me should garner discernment, huge amounts of discernment. For all is not as it seems, more than ever before, or not ever before. We've been through this history loop in our lifetimes, and it's a return of these different points in this history loop, this time loop that we're in, um, tied in by people's belief in what reality is, and the construct of it through people's consciousness is tight. It's like they've done a good job on putting agents via ego or planned on all sides in order to limit that break in the chain of consciousness in this time loop that they insist on trying to keep us in. So complacency shouldn't be a thing right now. Complacency, as I've said for a long time, got us to where we are, keeps repeating where we are, and causes untold suffering needlessly. So complacency should not be a thing. So I'm not going to apologize for being away. I'm going to say I've been working in spirit intensely, and I've been getting the physical feedback of that in really bonding and connecting and being a part of helping others get on that self-sustaining journey, and being able to feel powerful in their own right, particularly the women around me. It has been the most beautiful, immense thing to see in all of these different women's lives around me, and me having the privilege of being a part of helping them up, letting them step up on me to get over the hurdles that I put before them. So complacency definitely a no, and working in spirit right now is a must. And I can tell you that I felt the battles of old coming into play in spirit for sure, and I can say that I feel stronger than ever for it. There's an exhilaration in my DNA. I've been in these positions before, and it is actually reflecting in my physical reality, in that I'm all banged up, fractured knee, the lot, ligaments, we don't know what's up with them yet. The swelling needs to go down, and that was from a fall down the stairs. It's There are strange reflections happening in the physical reality. Now, on the converse of that, which I won't speak out about too much because I won't give the energies that are watching or controlling the algorithms too much information on the fact that I can tell you, in the contrast to that, as intense as all of this is, what I've been seeing flourish past, including myself, past these obstacles, past these battles, is powerful. it is strengthening, it is fortifying. So, and I won't go into details of that because I don't want to give that away. And that's something that I'm really picking up on strongly right now, in the to be careful who you share your attainments with, your plans, your hopes, your hopes, your manifestations with. Be real careful who you share that with, who you give the privilege of knowing that, because that's where a lot of these attacks are coming in plain sight, in the people around people. And that was always planned out, and the people obliged. So you will find that you have been given warning, or you've seen behaviors in people around you that has been sort of giving you that quiet message to start to retain some words, to not cast those pearls, and that those swine can look like your friend, but there's just something telling you to not overshare what you are working on, what you envision, or what you have planned. Just keep that to yourself, keep chipping away. Obviously, you'll know also on the converse the people around you that you are absolutely free to share with, and you can actually build on ideas, projects, hopes, manifestations with, through discussion, through making boards, through making plans. So there is the real contrast happening here. And it's important that we continue to use these opposing forces, not to knock us down, not to make us shy away now. A lot of us have been on this journey either this whole lifetime or for a long time, of being the salmon swimming against the stream. And so we're hardened in this, we're fortified in this, but you know, it has been exhausting. The spell work has been pungent in the air. And so, you know, it can get tiring, but not at this moment. Get yourself up, feel that strength, that grit, allow that exhilaration to come forward in your DNA, of battles once won, of a knowing of a different way, and really ground yourself in that strength and that knowing, allowing your spiritual energy or spirit energy around you to envelop your physical capacity, you know, really focusing in on digging into that strength now. Now is the time. Now is always the time to be like that, but this is, you know, war paint on time. You know, you can feel that energy, so keep grounding in that. And I don't blame you if you've been having to take a break, like myself, from a lot of the social media, and platforms, because you do need time to go away and recalibrate and ground, and be away from those signals, those triggers, those spell workings of other people's words, for a time. And that time can differ for many. So anyway, I wanted to go on and do a tarot reading. Missed doing it for you all. Thank you for everybody who's been booking in private readings. Again, things happening, so a bit backlogged, but still taking bookings. So get me at truedivinemedia@gmail.com. Put in capital letters, reading, energy work, whatever it is that you want to inquire about, and I'll be able to see it far more easily. So for this month, the month of August, I've pulled from the Nostradamus deck, and it's real deep, and it's not a message for the light-hearted at all. So we're going to go through this. This is going to be for the energies I drew, for the energies that I was feeling coming up in the month of March. You know, it's a time scale. It's not a absolute definitive start and finish. So the energies merge. So take it as you will, take what resonates, leave what does not, leave a comment. Please help me get back on track with my social media, where I've completely had to, bypass that for a while, and share the shit out of my stuff. I really do appreciate it. Sit back, relax, take it in. So the first card I want to speak about is, we want to speak about on the bottom of the deck, we have, how do I get that to be seen? We have the Prince of Suns. So it's in reverse, as you can see. So the Prince of Suns is, it's a prince on top of a sword, quite literally, and it is number 14. So pay mind to that, because that would be a 5, can cause conflict, but change, opposing force happening midway to 10. So we've got the Prince of Suns. So we want to speak about the fact that this would represent mostly in the Nostradamus deck, the Machiavellian energy. And the Machiavellian energy in reverse is not a great energy for sure. But again, this reading is yes and yes. All is not as it seems. Applicable and applicable. To make sense of that, I mean that if you look at Machiavelli, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, he was actually a brilliant mind. He was known and wrote about, and is still studied today, the book that he wrote, The Prince. That might be for somebody out there listening to go and read. It's still very much studied today in the political sphere, and so within the universities. And so he was known for his brilliance and his subtle political moves that you didn't always know or could not guess what his end result, his end goal was. And again, that goes back to the message I've been feeling of keeping your counsel, in that Machiavelli seemed to be able to shift and move in the shadows things, where it looked one way maybe to political oppositions or political friends, but actually it was doing this in order to do this with something else, to go around it, to change a law maybe really subtly in order to then change something, twice over in something else that would then link to being a bypass or a bending. So for me, from what I can gather, it seems that this energy would be that it is a bender, an energy bender, in that they don't go in there snapping things. It's not necessarily a loud energy. It is a very strategic, very subtle, but very effective energy. And Machiavelli has been written about as being a very effective leader. And so much so that, how much do we know about it? In that, I haven't read The Prince. I think it would be an interesting read if I get the time. But it would seem that he was imprisoned for a time and then sort of booted out after that imprisonment of the political sphere of where he was anyway. And so it would seem that he was he so bad? And is he depicted in the right way, in that oftentimes we can want to meet that opposing force, with our will and our want in the shape of a bull. And you can see he's dressed in red as like a red flag, to a bull. And so there's certain aspects of this energy of this card that is coming through for me, that would be that there are many things out there that aren't just there by accident. They are very much there as triggers, deliberately planned triggers. And that goes for the wider stage and for the individuals that are listening to this reading and resonating with it, in that there are energies around, that maybe even quite remotely, or putting things, plotting things, or saying things against you, desperately trying to get you into that bull energy. So they're waving like this silent red flag, beyond the sight of others around you, which is really like a gaslighting energy, desperately trying to get you to look crazy, to react, to be reactive, to play into their hands, very much so. And so it's important to take on board the fact that the subtle way is often more effective, in that if somebody's waving a red flag to you, they want you to run into them. They want to make a scene of it. They want some kind of evidence of that assault on their feelings, on their person, or on their corporation, on their business. They want you to make a display of you being the unhinged. And so it seems that Machiavelli was very good at being able to ignore the red flags and put a red flag of his own in different spaces to get others to show their cards, to show their energies, while he was busy bending processes to change the setup of the political sphere. And so effective, like I said, that it's still studied today. And I didn't know quite how widely it was studied in the political sphere, but I wanted to look up when I pulled that card. The fact that it's in reverse, it would speak of a very severe energy, an obsessed energy, even unhinged, wanting to be a leader, but not a great leader at all. Very Boris-like energy comes through this card in the reverse. This feeling of the world owing them, of them. They don't care if they've been crowned as king. They feel like they should be king and will act accordingly and expect others around them to act accordingly. Unfortunately, you're going to see, if this card resonates with you, in any so-called movement, in any political spheres, and particularly in your personal sphere, which is the one that matters the most. You're going to see these energies, you're going to recognize these energies, these non-leaders, but they are still managing to lead too many people, and it is keeping people in a cognitive dissonance, in a echo chamber, and really distracting from the progress that is being made to keep us in this time loop that we're in. There's gateways opening up all of the time right now, gateways of opportunity to really break through this very thick, tight chain of consciousness that has been built within the consciousness of many. There are gateways all over opening up for us to break through that, and literally separate from these energies that want power, they want control, even if it's through lies, even if it's through manipulation or corruption. But it really does take for us to do it in our personal lives. It really has to be from the within, rippling out. And it takes a lot of bravery, because the people who are harnessing the, excuse me, the energy of this card really want to see you fail. They want to see you, they're obsessed. And unfortunately, there are many groups of followers around these energies, like moths to a flame, mainly out of fear, mainly out of guilt, and a lot of manipulation. So it's hard to break through these gateways if we're not going to make that stand in our personal lives. No matter how oppressive it feels, no matter how difficult it feels, making that stand helps you connect with others also making that stand, and that's a punch through that gate. It's another leak in this very tight link chain around consciousness. And so when we're going on to the first card, it's in reverse again, and it's the rest of the suit, the rest of this reading is all suit of stars. And so that would be swords. So we've got the suit of sons in reverse on the bottom of the deck, but it is representative of a sword. It is representative of the sword in the stone, you know, the one that can be brilliant enough to harness it. Now, one thing I want to say about that in reverse before I go on to the rest of the reading, it's a sword, but it is in the suit of sons. And that can be great when somebody who tries to grab on and harness the energy of this type of wording, spell work. When they want to harness that, it's great if they have grounded themselves and have the capacity, the capacitors, to be able to channel that kind of energy, that kind of brilliance, that kind of frequency. When you have it in reverse and people are grabbing onto that sword just via ego, because they are told they are worthy of it, that is when this sword becomes destructive. It's the sun on it, it gets hot, and there's only so long that these energies around you in your personal life that you're witnessing that grab onto a sword like this, there's only so long they can hold on to it before it starts burning through their own lives, before their words start boomeranging back. And because for the most part these energies are putting out manipulative words, manipulative frequencies, that's being reflected back eventually and absorbed back. So there is an ending to this, but for the longer that they have a following, the longer it goes on, and sometimes that can make you sad because of the other attachments that come with them, maybe groups of friends that will cut you out, even loved ones, because they are fixated on this reverse leader. And so that can add to the pressure of not doing the right thing and standing in your sovereignty and in your knowing that somebody here is holding a sword that they've got no mind holding, they've got no right to be holding. And it's going to burn them, and unfortunately a lot of people around them, and that just is what it is. So it's coming into a reconciliation point about that too. So it's not just snap and easy, it's a really deep thing, but it does build in your sovereignty, and it does give yourself the self-evidence of you being able to do that and being strong enough to do that. And then that will keep reflecting on in your own life and beyond. And so the one of stars, it's in reverse. You can see there's just this arm, disembodied arm holding, but again in red, holding the sword up to an 8-spoke wheel. And it speaks to me of, this wasn't necessarily in the book, but I suppose it was, because the scroll that you see going around the sword is representative of the power of the word. The power of the word being that it is so powerful that you can put, one man can decide to create a organized religion, and it can distort words, and it can channel words in a very different way, edit words and rewrite a scroll, and that can be set in stone in many people's consciousness very easily. And it's in reverse though. So this is promising to me. A while back I spoke about the fact that they are planning on merging organized religion into their new age, their new planned age anyway, sort of a changeover of the ranks, so to speak. But this again is another opportunity for us, in that it's in reverse, the 8-spoked wheel representing the infinite, the scroll and the sword representing the words, the sword representing the frequency of the words, the scroll representing the physicality of the words. Laws are nothing. They're nothing. They're laws that we are made to live by are nothing. They are literally machinations of somebody somewhere thinking up this certain law. That law did not exist prior to that, and they have channeled that thought for whatever intent it might be. Think of how many laws we've got. Question how what has been the intent behind each person who's proposed a law that's been passed. You know, they were nothing though. They didn't exist. But once they are transmuted and put on a scroll, and that scroll is given a level of importance via the consciousness of the people, then it becomes very, very real, because then it opens up the portal for the ramifications of breaking said law that didn't exist prior to being written on a scroll. The ramifications become very real, which over the years sets in stone into physicality through the consciousness of the people. Again, not remembering why, but just knowing that it is, that if I do this, the ramifications could be this, this, and this via the law system. And so it's in reverse though. So this speaks of that as everything I've just spoke of, that these are just things that have been channeled through a person, uh, a select few, it seems, for a long time, and they have been they are the matrix, in that they are the scrolls, they are the things that have been written, the power of the word. But it being in reverse and the sword pointing towards that infinite spoke, that eight-spoked wheel, would speak of the fact that it is the upside down, and therefore there is this energy around that may not be comfortable, that certainly is not everybody's cup of tea, because those even that say they're against the child abuse going on are still quoting the same God that these organized religions just wrote down on a scroll about. You know, so there's a cognitive dissonance there. But for those that can see and those that can hear, it's very clear that this is only the reality in the consciousness of the many, because they have accepted something that can be burnt, and it's about seeing the clarity. And with that being in reverse right now, sometimes that clarity has to be really deep, quite dark, because the intentions and actions of, let's say, organized religion, which is the political system, which is the social service system, this belief in a power above us, absolutely there is a chance for us to really see through and break away from that completely. And it is not infinite. If it was in the upright and the sword was pointing towards the eight-spoked wheel, the infinite, then it would be a very different energy in this reading. But it is not, it's in reverse and we're in the upside down, and that while that might not be comfortable to see the depths of depravity, and we think we've heard it all about the churches and the other organized religions, we ain't yet. There's a lot more that needs to come out and be validated with bravery in the many, to take this opportunity with both hands to burn that scroll, burn those scrolls that have literally just acted to build a matrix of consciousness, a belief system of fear, guilt, and control and manipulation. So, but that also speaks of in your individual life, that there are people around you holding these sacred swords, which are then transmuted into words, and they are not treating it as such. It is not sacred to them. They are just blurting out words there, and opinions, and acting like it is as it is because they say so. And that is in the upside down, it really is. So the clarity that you're witnessing in people that you maybe thought had a lot of clarity, it's confusing to witness, but it ain't your problem, so to speak. It's for you to find even deeper clarity through this opposing force of murkiness, of a river being kicked up, of bullshit. I call bullshit on a lot of what is going on, and it isn't all as it seems. It isn't all as it seems. This good and bad thing, you see, with this would speak to about, I suppose, the Archangel Michael, the blazing sword, the blazing word. For me and what the entity, the energy that is called Michael, for me, we haven't really got along. For me, it's ironic, I know, but for me, it's always felt, for want of better words, to be more of a demonic energy, but looks very beautiful, has been depicted as being very beautiful, as being depicted as being very powerful, and is very powerful, but it's not as it seems for me with that. And so in reverse, this card speaks to me more of that energy that I've encountered, in that, it is whatever this energy is that represents this Michael, is being made out to be good, and is probably very good at putting on a mask in the consciousness of many via the teachings of these made up, written, scrolled religions. It's not what it seems, is not this almighty savior. And we've got people, it's like that Utopia video I did, where I said, look, like I said, people be screaming out for the very thing that is holding them imprisoned. It's like that energy, I'm seeing it. People are shouting out, oh, let Michael come down and strike his mighty sword on these bastards. Well, it's these bastards that have been bigging Michael up all of this time. So even like logically, let alone spiritually, and encountering this energy, this is that energy where it's depicted in minds of many, even people who say they're not religious, that this is a goody energy. It's not, it's badass energy. And for me, it seems like an energy that will work for the winning side. It is what it is. Take it as that resonates, because it's hard. I know a lot of people like that energy. My personal encountering of it has not been the same as many people that that speak to me about it, or leave comments. It's one of those comments that physically makes me go, oh, okay, we're still there, are we? A great masquerader. Even the fact that it's coming after this reversed Prince of Suns, that it's that reversed Machiavellian energy. Maybe it's not always the good is the good and the bad is the bad. It's hard to describe, isn't it? People are feeling it. I know they are. So we've got the next card as the Abyss. I think that's how you pronounced it. Of stars. Now, this is in reverse too. We're in the upside down. We're in the upside freaking down. And it's awesome. full of trepidation, but you know, it's upside down for sure. We There's been a huge shift dimensionally. There continues to be shifts that are intense, and we are navigating through the upside down. Veils being ripped off, but thick veils being pulled down on many too. So with this being in reverse, we've got this number 13. So a lot of people would correlate that to the death card in the major arcana in the other tarot, like the Rider-Waite style tarot. She's got that red robe on, that robe of purity with the white there, and she's in the archway, which would depict the womb. This is very much depictive with the Nostradamus deck of a lady called Abess, I think that's how you pronounce it, Hildegard, and a brilliant, brilliant visionary, and was written about to be the most fabulous teacher, herbalist, scientist, doctor, musician, and artist, and that had very, like Nostradamus, very intense, very full visions of things to come. And so she was given to a cathedral, I think, but she became a nun, and her writings took off from there, and apparently was very well known in the spiritual stroke religious community. And so she was very well respected because of her knowledge and her wisdom. And this energy in its own right anyway is quite fierce, quite different. This energy seems, this lady Hildegard seems to have been a very different energy. I don't think, from what I feel, that it would have been being always comfortable in her energy, in that it would have been intense, but at the same time there's a stillness there and a wisdom there, and maybe, you know, would be the most fierce critic, but at the same time the most abundant teacher with the lessons that she had to give, with a lot of poise and grace. It is that divine feminine energy that is often misunderstood, that is not harnessed, that powerful divine feminine energy that would seem maybe in the swords deck, the stars deck, a bit reserved and cut off, and you know, a step outside of the community, in that, you know, it didn't particularly want to be around all those energies, didn't suffer fools gladly. And so that energy right now is being attacked from all ends and sides. Talk about the movement with freedom. There's less and less freedom for women in there. Political moves that are being made, we all know there are less and less freedoms there. And so this is really deep, that this is in reverse. And we are really feeling, a lot of us right now, this stranglehold, this squeeze on the divine feminine. There is a lot of this witch talk and Satanist and evil, and all of the same things, all of the same scripts that have been used time and time again by these hijackers to hold the divine feminine to account for sins that are not hers, that are not, it's not a sin to be a powerful, strong woman full of wisdom that does not suffer fools gladly. It is a sacred energy, and it has been reversed, it has been distorted and downtrodden. And so this is where we see that this is coming out in full force for us right now. And a lot of the women listening to this, and myself and the people, women around me, have been feeling this. And it is disappointing, because it is working its way through, and we're seeing through the consent of many of the people with this very misogynistic, bigoted view. We're still coming from the freedom movements in the UK. It is horrendous, that attacked from a so-called own. And this is where it hurts. It hurts the womb of the creator. It hurts the womb of that divine feminine energy that is able to encapsulate and harness a whole being that is grown within it, that is able to sustain a being after it is born. And so this reverse of this beautiful energy is sad. It's so sad. It creates such a lack in the foundation of our families, in our societies, in our systems that we live under and by. It is being grossly misrepresented in a lot of the females in the political sphere. It is being grossly misrepresented in a lot of the females in the religious sphere. And there are this very few in the middle, yet again, that are being thrown stones at, that are being stoned right now with the words, the actions of those that will use the same script that has been used over and over again by these systems that we're living under right now, to downgrade the women, to downtrodden the women, to actually steal from the woman. Now, this card comes through real deep for me because it is linked to the termination of a creation. And I'm not going to say the words. I don't even know if it's a keyword that we can't say on YouTube right now. But you know what I mean. And that has been a real hot topic. And again, I want to go back to yes and yes in this reading, in that I don't think for one moment that these powers that be are doing any favors to creation and have any real care for the brilliance and most wonderful energy that a child is when it is born into a family in this realm. Not for 1 second. But again, I feel there are certain moves that are being made that will be uncomfortable initially. And this is where we have to challenge in our own communities, not through political laws or people give more rights here, more rights there, only for them to be used against them in the future. Because they were given those rights from something that was perceived to be above them. Remember that scroll, something that was written out of nowhere, pre the laws that we live under now. We know we have writings of love just being love, and there have been many derivatives of love between different sexual partners, and it not being made to be a problem until these organized religions came in and built these political systems. So these rights that are given, because they are not just harnessed and known within thy own self in individuals, can be taken away. And so again, we are feeling the pain of that because we didn't decide as a society to fight back from the conditioning and indoctrination that has caused the woman to be downtrodden in her community, in her family, in her relationships, and the breakup of the family home, making it so hard for families to stay together, for partners to stay together, and not even stay together sexually, but being able to co-parent successfully without the jealousy, without the backstabbing. So because we haven't harnessed that in our own selves, we will feel the pain of this right that was given to us, and this right that then has been shown to be taken away. And again, don't relax in the UK, because it's coming. It is here in the UK too. And so right now we are feeling the pain of that, because that decision was not made in the consciousness of the many. So we're still living under the ramifications of the and the effects of the conditioning and control that led down to the breakup of the family unit. And we're still living with the misogyny and the bigoted views and the sexual and physical violence that we meet very much so as women. So it's a difficult space. It's a frightening space, because a lot of pregnancies are caused without consent. and society hasn't begun to take responsibility for itself and weed out those within it for in its own right that would be violent in that way, that would create a beautiful being within that, in that sacred ritual, making it a degraded, controlling ritual. So we're living with the ramifications of that. But again, all is not as it seems. When were we going to actually take it seriously as individuals en masse, that no matter what projections we are being given through TV, through Hollywood, through headlines, through everything that these systems literally pour on us every day, when were we en masse going to actually stop and say that we should be creating with intent here? We should be realizing for our own selves, in our own lives, in our own family units and communities, the effect that the lack of co-parenting is having on our children. I know personally myself that, you know, that it has to be a sacred ritual when we decide to bring life into this world. And there has to be a network around that child that is not just one person that is exhausted, that is trying to pull everything together, but is a community of people, a family of people, family of friends, of blood family, of in-laws that are willing to take seriously the responsibility of like godparents are expected to do, of co-parenting with other parents. Because what they have been doing with DNA is going to make people who still have eyes to see and ears to hear feel the sorrow that is in this card in reverse, that it is the number 13, that it has been and I can't even say the word for the procedure, but the word for the procedure of life. Life that through the conceiving process has been pulled or magnetized into being. And before given a chance to flourish, has been pulled. And this is no guilt, this is just real talk of, if they're going to do this to us, if they're going to reverse these rights that they initially gave for reasons that will make most people's toes curl, then we have to take seriously in our own individual lives representing and really representing the respect of the divine feminine, and vice versa. Those divine feminine stepping up and letting go of that ego and submit, being able to, with the right people, submit to that divine masculine energy. And when I say submit, don't get your knickers in a knot. I mean, be brave enough to be feminine, subtle, Machiavellian, to both bend with each other. And this is with lovers, parents, friendships, that we do take seriously, even with strangers, bringing in that divine feminine care. And when you witness it being brought in by somebody else, to really take note and really pay mind to it and pay respect to it. It is the difference that would flip this card in the right way up, that builds the foundations for life, that then that 13 would turn into a 4 and the elements of life. But it is being distorted, it has been stolen from. And it could be very tempting in this murky, reversed, upside down energy to hook into all of the travesties that have been brought upon the wombs of creative source, the literal physical portals that life comes through. It is important that we don't dig down deep into that pain and not use it as a strength, that we don't dig down deep into that pain and start hooking into that and staying there as it is. That at some point, in some way, enough of us have got to take back that energy without question and harness it and feel brave enough to express it in the face of, like I say, not just these powers that be that want to distort it and cocoon it and hold it down, but even the people around you that say that are not for these systems. The level of misogyny and the level of bigoted views in many people is still very uncomfortable. And this card represents that. And where you can take a lady such as this Hildegard is described as, a brilliance, a wonder of many, many talents, and practically have it unknown to many. You know, that the knowledge that was given from that lady to be so sacred and so useful to be not be coveted at all by many people. So really, really harnessing that divine feminine energy is part of this spiritual, physical war. It truly is. So it would speak to the emptiness of the womb. And this is multi-layered in that a lot of what has gone down, as a warned would be, is that a lot of women are physically barren. And it will remain to be seen for how long for. And so there is this empty womb, and we see it playing out physically in the NHS even, and I'm saying even as if it's a surprise. The political leaders not now describing what a woman is, to try and blur those lines, and instead of people just being free if they feel like it to express as a feminine energy in their physical suit, there has to be these rights, and these rights do not include the rights of the woman to maintain her territory of knowing thyself, of knowing thy physiology, thy spirituality, that connectedness, that's being encroached upon and taken away, which again causes this barren womb. And I'm saying to you, get up off your knees, ironically, she says, with a fractured one. And you know, as tired as you are, ladies, harness that power, dig deep into that portal within yourself, and really, this is the time to reclaim the territory of your womanhood on all spheres and fractals of self. It truly is. That this is a huge component of lifting the veil, breaking the chain that has been wrapped around people's consciousness for the divine feminine energy. With that, there are many people going to be afraid of it. And with that, there are many people going to call you an evil witch, a Satanist, a this, a that, a blah, blah, blah. And that's the kind of energy that it just needs to be given. Again, don't fall into the trap of feeding it too much. Just the blah, 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 blah. That's as much as it needs. The rest is concentration on self and supporting other women who are showing the potentials or showing the actions that they are taking to dig down deep into that creative source of theirs that has been so distorted and so disfigured with the men. And I know I've got some beautiful brothers on here that I haven't been able to even touch base with because of the spiritual space I've been in. I've felt them, and these beautiful men carrying this divine masculine spark. This is where these men are priceless, priceless, and precious to the women who are feeling that divine feminine energy flow through them, because it's these men that will lift up those energies. Even in the strangers that they see, the women who are strangers to them will do things, small things, actions will be taken to lift up these energies, to hold up your shield, maiden, to help the development of that divine feminine energy is only to feed the spark of the divine masculine energy. That is the end result of that equation. And again, that is like an atom bomb that, done right, can be set off throughout this realm and would create the recalibration of those scales. So it's a very deep energy. I'm not going to lie, it is full of so much sorrow, but sorrow that needs to be recognized. And the love and light thing isn't just to ignore all of it. It's like, no, give reverence to the pain that has been set within your womb and within the womb of your ancestors, within the first womb. That's how far this goes back. To see that a lot of African tribes still hold the knowledge of the divine feminine woman being depicted as the goddess that encapsulated the tree of life, that it wasn't evil to eat from it. It was sustenance to eat from it. It was infinite wisdom to eat the fruits of that goddess, of that tree, to be nourished by it. And you see how that's been twisted. I mean, the gods, that pain, that tear in reality, that tear in the universe of from the first womb. If that is known to many African tribes still, and long may that continue. It is that hope that helps sustain still some divine feminine energy. If that is known, and that it was true reverence was given to the mother, and that mother was able to flourish in that reverence, to soak up in her roots the fruits of her children, the lessons of her children, the skin that they shed in those lessons, to use it as sustenance to grow even better fruits for further nourishment. That is a beautiful umbilical cord. For that sacred umbilical cord to be twisted and distorted and knotted, and even in some cases severed, where we see children today feeling hate towards their very mother, the womb that they came from. And in some cases, the physical upbringing of those children, it stands to reason that they feel that way because the mothers have been affected by those knots and have either done or not done what they need to do as a mother to be a good mother. You attack the mother, you attack our lines of creation. If you can attack the very womb that everyone has to come from, you have a controlling mechanism over each and every one, because all of us had to come through a womb. And we are in a present time with that 13 in reverse. And I know this is a long reading, but it's deep, in that we are in a time right now where they are literally talking about not needing a womb, of being able to build a perfectly, working womb, taking no account the energy that is exchanged, the love that is exchanged from the moment of conception through that divine feminine energy, that woman. That literally, it is not just a physical nourishment, it is a sensation, it is a protection, it is love. What kind of humans would come out of an artificial womb? Already coming in lack, already lacking in the long period and process of the love that is shared between a mother and the baby. So we're at a pivotal point here of what would happen to this reality. Can you see how it's not beyond the realms of possibility, especially when you've got goons amongst you, amongst your own damn people, that are quite willing to continue and are terrified of this power that would be the first womb running through every female here. If you look at the first womb and the reverence given, the tree of life literally being the fruits of the tree, being given by the mother to nourish the young. If you look at that compared to how women are seen today, and the lack of reverence, the fear of women's strength, if you look at the vast difference from here to here, is it so beyond the realms of possibility? Can people not see that it is very possible that a woman would be no longer necessary in the capacity of being the creative portal, the creative source that encapsulates life and births life into this realm? You would be creating biological AI that is not being given the love that, like any other child would have in a physical womb. So it's real deep. And it is the same old, same old. And we can be distracted with that first one of stars in reverse by many, many things. When it comes down to it, if we were to win, restructure, resurface the knowings of the true divine feminine energy, all of the other bullshit disappears. All of the other bullshit cannot be in the same space as this divine feminine energy that I feel within myself and that I feel coming through my ancestral line, through my DNA. And going back to being all is not what it seems, in that right now, as out there and as, don't shoot the messenger, as it seems, that was a right given through a lie anyway. That was a right given in order to be a corporation that can steal plentiful DNA. And I won't say the other words that come with that. That DNA, like I've said, is the holy grail to them. That DNA does open up ancestral lines. It does open up timelines. I do feel it opens up time travel. It gives them so much. And watch out, they came for every tribe-minded people. I look at the Norse, the pagans, and I look and I being a part of that, understanding that, understanding that, and telling people desperately, you don't need to prove your lineage to belong. If things resonate with you in certain groups, then they resonate. But no, they even got that group of people, that sector of people, by, people watching Vikings and all of a sudden wanting to know that there was such and such this amount of person, there was such and such this amount of DNA, and if it was over 40%, it would account for Norse blood. Then yay, it was like, oh. And now look who's buying up the 23andMe's. BlackRock, isn't it? Something similar. That DNA, because they've not bothered to write certain laws on certain scrolls to protect you from that data, from that portal to you, via frequency, via injections, via food. You have given them your holy grail. Blood ritual. And it is a blood sacrifice, in that you are sacrificing your inner sanctum, your spiritual and physical line of ancestors, to a very few people who've proved to not be in the favor of the many. So again, all is not as it seems. The whole drive in these various different sectors of the community, about wanting to know your lineage, and it being so important to being able to belong in a group, to prove who you are and where you came from, what your parents did, all of this, to feel some sense of pride and some sense of belonging, wasn't as it seems. It was a harvesting ritual. It was a harvesting of DNA. And the barren womb and the encouragement of the barren womb was again a harvesting ritual, a harvesting of bodily parts and DNA. The fact that these few truly believe, because we have consented to it en masse, that they own creation from the moment it comes out of our womb, has only been able to be established by the many taking on board the misogynistic view towards women. So you see, to break through this aspect of the spell is the most powerful recalibration that could happen. But for now, we're in the reverse period, where we are under severe attack, and under severe attack also from ourselves, ladies. Be really cognizant of your thoughts towards self right now. Be really kind to yourself. Give yourself reverence before you expect it from anywhere else. Give yourself respect and love and appreciation before you even begin to want it to come from somewhere else. In order to magnetize in true respect and true reverence from others, you have to be giving it to yourself first. It's a must. And it is so difficult. The things, the frameworks that have been built up of what a woman should be, what a woman should look like, what a woman should do. If a woman does this, she falls into this type of this type of group, or she falls into that type of group, or that type of person, that characteristic of a caricature of a person. Women are not able to move freely And that is a problem. It is the reason we are where we are. And so we're really feeling this, and it is a fight from within to the without, to the very people around us directly, further and further beyond. How we represent ourselves online, how we hold our space online, how we are unapologetic of our being and our physiological makeup and our capacity to harness the actual sword that many men in places of power, be it small or large, are wielding and have no right to wield. We literally, we're not just writing words, we are writing, we are encapsulating something that is writing code. And our DNA actually aids that code writing in each and every cell of this being that is being grown. That kind of reverence needs to come back. And so it is a difficult period for sure. But it is the opposing force that we need to start having the honest discussions about how far we've come and why we've come this far, and continue going in this merry-go-round, in this time loop that isn't fucking real. It's scrolls written, not even scrolls written with a fiery sword. These are scrolls that we are living under that have been written with ink and pen. They're not even written in stone. They're written on paper, the papal. The constructs that we've been living under are paper thin. And it's just finding a way in your individual life first to break through those constructs that others have put on you and that you've accepted for yourself, the limitations that others have put on you and that you've accepted for yourself. And so it's a tough fight, ladies. It's a tough fight. And for the divine masculine men listening, it is a tough space for you too, because spiritually, I know there are a lot of you that are really feeling this pain because you are connected to the mother. You do not like witnessing or hearing or being around energies that would degrade the mother, your mother. There's a lot of people that maybe need to reconcile relationships with their mother. And by that, things have been so messed up for so long. I certainly do not mean that you re-enter into relationships with narcissistic mothers, abusive mothers. When I say reconcile, if you are able to reconcile safely and both parties have grown and there is an ability to be truthful and submissive to each other in order to reconcile, then yeah, fantastic. But just as fantastic for those that cannot and should not reconcile with that other party that is called their mother. But find ways to let go of ego, let go of the pain in the way that you have been feeling it, in order to even just give reverence to the portal that was able to encapsulate you, that was able to bring you into this space, and truly finding a way to let go of the day-to-day hatred or the day-to-day what's the word, blame game that you've been playing, and see that that is hurting nobody but yourself, because everything you direct at your mother, which is another reason they attack the mother, it is a direct portal to you. It is a quick boomerang effect for the child to not give reverence to the mother. that is so imbalanced. It is so out of whack with nature itself. It's so out of whack with how it used to be and how it should be, that it is painful. It is sorrowful. So, you know, I think there's fun in all of this. There is. Just this reading is, it's heavy. It needs to be out there. It's hard to describe the depths of the feelings that I'm feeling, the cramps, the physical cramps as I speak of these energies. Um, Going back to all being not as it seems. This is the kind of bravery that we'll need to be able to truly understand the depravity of the systems we've been living under. And if that doesn't make us want to try giving reference to the mother, to the divine feminine energy, I don't know what is. But there's going to be more information that confirms the very reason that there is a queue at McDonald's, every McDonald's you go to, any time of the day if it's 24 hours. That what many have become addicted to is the cannibalism of self, in that what we eat, what we've been eating, it isn't nice. And I've spoken about this before. And now we see the conditioning coming down of, I think, is it Sweden or somewhere like that, that's talked about cannibalism being good for the climate, in order to, just like they do with the abuse of children, normalize it, you know, try and dilute it, try and detach people from what should be an innate reaction to it. So the conditioning is coming out already of this being a good thing, this being a selfless thing, no more than, you know, being a donor, an organ donor. That's what needs, is still due to come out. And whether it's this month or not, there's a lot of information that's coming out that will feed into that being known. And I want to say to you that when that happens, because it's not as if it's not already out there, but I mean in a bigger way, when that happens, I want to say to you, there'll be outrage, there'll be riots, but there might not be. Don't get complacent in those thoughts that other people will feel what you are feeling, rightly so. Because if it hasn't proved to you by now, I don't know what will either, is that the conditioning is strong and the conditioning is real. And that conditioning is coming down the pipeline now. So what might it be meant for harm and is going to cause a lot of pain, don't get me wrong, because of the societies that we're still living in and the makeup of them as women, actually is good, in that these people that were profiting from these procedures were not doing what they have been saying they've been doing fully with the produce. Produce. And it's not love and light to ignore that. It's not. It has to be out there. It has to be expelled. It has to be felt in order to the illusion to be burst, possibly. But don't be complacent about your own actions, thinking, no way, no way. How many times have you thought, no way, the masses won't stand for this? Won't stand for this. But they are. They are. They're standing for grannies, literally crying, granddads crying, not knowing how they're going to afford to turn the cooker on. Standing for it in the UK. Lots of people trying to do great things regarding it, but the masses are standing for it in the UK. So don't be complacent and be ready for all of that. So the last card, whew. Sorry to not come back with a, well, I'm sorry, not sorry, because I've never not been very real, as people know, who know me on here. I've never not been real with the message. I can't, it just won't come out. The, you know, if it's a sweetness and light message, give that. If it's the depth, then I give that. If it's both, then I give that. I can't degrade the sacredness of my intuition, of my knowing, and of the knowings of energies that help me get this knowing, this intuition, give me the pointers, give me the guidance. I can't degrade it that way. But the last card is another star, but it's in the upright. And so you see here, this is the 7 of stars, and you can see again a disembodied arm, but holding up a red rose under a crown. And then on the top of that, we've got, these cards are so beautiful because they've got like the zodiac, everything sort of very faintly in the background of them all. But this speaks of, again, this Machiavellian energy, this it's not as it seems, that in the direst situations with this 7 of stars, there is hope, there are ways, and those ways are very often not intuitive to us as we've been indoctrinated to be. In that, again, that red rag to the bull, to be enticed to fall into a trap of depicting ourselves as the character that our opposers would want us to be seen. And so this is more of a subtle energy and things happening, individuals, people, beings working behind the scenes and maybe helping pass certain laws in order to cut the pipeline of something that is very evil. This card in the Nostradamus deck, it speaks of an intervention. It speaks of it being linked to Chanson de Gaulle, I think that's how you pronounce it, and how he used the magic sorcerer Magnus, I think that's how you pronounce it again, to put a sleep spell over the troops, the very heroic troops of King Charlemagne, in order to steal the swords, the power, the words and weapon of King Charlemagne's very, very strong troops while they slept. That would have been depicted at the time as a very Calasac, those beasts, those thieves, those pirates, and all of the above. But actually, it would also be said to be actually a good thing, that it ended up saving the lives of the very soldiers that wanted to kill the very people that were there stealing the swords peacefully in their sleep and not slitting their throats in their sleep while they did it. It was to stop further damage, further impact of a sequence of events that was already unfolding and out of control. So it speaks to, again, the magic of the word, the magic of my word is my bond, the magic of being able to bend those words, the frequency held within those words, to look around a problem rather than be very obviously head on at it. This is where, be aware of those energies that are shouting the loudest and setting, pipping people up against others, but be very aware also of your comrades that are working and bending realities in order to not snap them, but in order to get around some very depraved and very dark abuses that have been put upon people in all societies under the rule of these people. It speaks a lot to it not always being a good perceived good person or good thing coming into the rescue, but indeed that good or bad thing has a knock-on effect that you can use to bend realities, to shift dimensions, to shift timelines, to break chains of consciousness in a time loop. And so to think strategically right now, and a lot of strategic moves being made, but be careful to not fall into the trap of actually going against something that is for your favor and feeding into the distraction that those in places of power, whether it's in your own lives or in the systems above us, being careful to not feed into exactly what they want you to feed into in order to fight what could be a sleep spell to block off certain chains of produce, certain actions that are taken along those factory lines, whether it's through medicine, politics. There are a lot of things that are going to be seemingly for harm that we can harness for good. And that is the hope. That is the hope. This is where this seven of stars represents seven swords. It represents seven being the spiritual realm, the bridge. And this card was linked to the mysterious and mystical ship of Solomon. And that it was found, a sword was found on this mysterious ship that could strike reality into being through words, the spoken word. It is intervention, it is strategic thinking, it is multifaceted. It is not a quick end result. It is actions being taken in your individual life and the wider stage to usurp, to place a coup on certain sectors of society, on certain people in your own life, in order for you to keep your peace, and in order for the many to not be harmed and hurt as much as it has been. And it has been. And so I do feel that, it's difficult given these kinds of messages. I've been off for a while and this is a long one and it's a deep one. And it's coming from a space of me being in the space of spirit, of really channeling these energies I speak of tonight and feeling them, and feeling the depths of it. Of we've been donating organs, we've been taking things away, making wombs barren, empty, so easily and so flippantly. And it's not just about the physical thing, it is about the connections of the DNA being a holy grail, a visible code to so many in your ancestral line, to being able to be used as keys into your actual consciousness, like a direct line. And so this source of income, of depravity for these people, very much does need to be stopped. The pipeline needs to go. And in order for that to be sustainable in society, we must protect the women from falling foul to a forced experience that would result in a physical pregnancy. It's important that we stand together in our societies, in our communities, to really stomp that out, to really make it frequently uncomfortable and untenable for energies that would seek to pass that and say that's okay, or actually do that kind of thing, for them to even be in the presence of many people that say no, no more, no more. It is important for us as parents to counteract that and help other parents parent, and take other parents' help for us too, to have friends who have chosen not to be parents, to be a supportive role and yet another role model in a child's life, for us all to take a part in children's lives, smiling at children. They haven't seen enough smiles over the last 2 years, 3 years. It's been masked up. Speaking to a baby who's sitting on a mommy's or daddy's shoulder and looking at you. I love it when they do that, because it's like they have no a private interaction outside of the bubble of mommy or daddy while still being with them. But you have the capacity to look into that baby's eyes and play peekaboo, have some fun and interaction with that child, so that we start giving the reverence to the children, so that the woman feels supported and loved and given reverence to, and children lead by example, or led by example, sorry. So that's where we have our fight. That's where we have our hope. That's where we have our intervention at our own individual fingertips, to show acts of kindness towards children that we come across or that are in our lives personally, to feel protective over them, to feel love for them. And that's that reading. That was real deep. I am a bit sorry to have to come on with such a reading, and I hope people can see the hope in it. I hope people can see the capacity and strength in this reading, if the energies are used strategically and bravely. But it is what it is, and we are where we are. And if we are serious about you know, surpassing the powers that be that have held us down for so long, limiting the amount of cruelty that is shown in this realm right now, then getting out of this time loop that keeps repeating and repeating to the point where it's hard not to feel the script, then these are the things we have to have honest discussions about. These are the things that actually allow more of that love and light to shine through, because we can see where it's lacking. We can see where it's being attacked. So I hope you can take it as that. Again, take what resonates, leave what doesn't. It's my words are given to you freely. Use them as you will, not to harm others, for sure. But use them as you will in your own lives, or don't. I'm good. Either way, I'm good. And stay in your peace. Stay in your peace. So I'm going to leave it at that. It was a long one, but deservedly so. I'm in quite a bit of pain, so I'm not going to chat on too long, too much longer now. I'm good, recovering from that. Or a break on the knee is not a easy one because it swells up so damn much. But you know, I accept your healing's energies gratefully in advance, because I know my people. I know my people. So big love, always, always big love. When I'm not here, I hope you're feeling my energy, because that is projected out to you all each day. Wow, we are where we are. Intense energies. Anyway, I'm gonna just be brave and put this up. It needs to be up, even if it was disjointed. Much love. Mwah. Big love. I love you, yes I do.